was in a car accident and I'm lying on the operating table. All because my husband's childhood sweetheart said she felt bad. He stayed with her 7 days. She's hooked now. Dad put our home up for sale. He came back shocked. Now I'm lying on this freezing cold operating table. The surgical lamp's glare pierces straight through me. The doctor holds up a scalpel, urgency bleeding into his voice. Miss Shen, we can't reach your husband. A family member must sign the consent form. Hear me? My is already fading from blood loss. The excruciating pain radiating from my thigh has every nerve in my body screaming. Just 2 hours ago, I was driving my limited edition Porsche on the highway when an out-of-control truck T-boned me. The chassis crumpled. The second the airbag deployed, I heard the sound of my own bones shattering. It was my wedding anniversary. I had my assistant book a table at a Michelin 3-star restaurant a week in advance. I got him the Patek Philippe he craved. I even wore a haute couture gown flown in from Paris. I wanted to surprise him, but I waited from noon to dusk. From dusk to midnight, 47 phone calls. Every single one went unanswered. The last text he sent came at 2 in the morning. Qingxi. Z's depression is acting up again. She's really unstable right now. I can't just leave her like this. We'll celebrate our anniversary later. Sleep now. Attached was a photo of a hotel balcony at night. Maldives. W Hotel. I recognized that exact angle, because that hotel was on the private island I dropped 12 million on for his birthday last year. And that woman named Z. His childhood sweetheart. Lindsay. Her depression flares up like clockwork once a month. And every single time, my husband Lu Shirhan acts like he just got a royal decree and drops everything to run to her side. Last time, it was our son's 3rd birthday party. He took his call before guests, then left. Our little boy stood there holding his cake, crying for a full hour. The time before that, my father had a sudden heart attack. He was standing outside the operating room when Lindsay said 2 words, "I'm scared." No explanation, just drove off. Every time he says the same thing, Qingxi, be the bigger person. Z only has me. Be the bigger person? Me? Shen Qingxi, the sole heiress of Shen Group, worth over 10 billion. Nobody in my entire life has ever dared ask that of me. Until I married Lu Shirhan. Wait 10 more minutes. I heard my own voice. Raspy like a broken bellows. He's probably busy. The doctor hesitated, then finally let out a sigh. And left the OR. 10 minutes passed. I stared at the Maldives night view on my phone screen. Looking at the corner of the photo. That hand that belonged only to Lu Shirhan. He was holding a wine glass. On his ring finger, he still wore our ring. I called 48 times. 49th. 50th. Still off. I suddenly laughed. The laughter echoed through the empty OR, carrying a chill that even I found unfamiliar. No need to wait. I stopped the nurse walking in. My voice was so calm it didn't sound like someone bleeding out. I'll sign for the surgery myself. Or, give me your hospital director's number. I'll have Shen Group's legal team on the phone with him right now. The nurse froze for a second, clearly caught off guard. I forced myself to keep it together, pulled my phone from my bag, and dialed a number. Dad. On the other end? My father's voice immediately tensed up. What's wrong? I'm at Renai Hospital. Minor car accident. I said, I need you to call the hospital for me. I'll sign for the surgery myself. Also, look into something for me. What is it? Where is Lu Shirhan right now? I paused, my eyes falling on the screen, that photo. And put the villa on the east side of the city on the market. 40% below market. Pay in 3 days. There was silence on the other end for 3 seconds. Okay. That was the only word my father said before hanging up. I closed my eyes. The OR doors finally opened. The lead surgeon walked in, his demeanor completely different now. Miss Shen, the director personally gave the order. Rest assured, we will do everything we can. I nodded. Said nothing more. The moment the anesthetic entered my vein, my consciousness began to scatter. In the last bit of remaining clarity, in my mind, There was only one thought, Lu Shirhan. You will regret this. Not because my father will pull strings to get you fired, and not because my family's influence will make you a pariah in your circles, but because, from this moment on, you have lost the one person you never should have lost. And I, Shen Qingxi, will never look back. Never again. The surgery was a success. I spent 2 days in the ICU, then another 5 days in the VIP suite. During those 5 days, Lu Shirhan didn't call. Not once. Actually, he did. Once. On the 3rd day. My phone showed 1 missed call from him. 3 a.m. I called back. A woman answered. Qingxi? Shirhan's in the shower. Did you need something? Lindsay's voice. Soft as a spring breeze. Sickeningly sweet, playing innocent. My fingers went cold around the phone. It's nothing, I said. Tell him to call me when he's out. His wife's looking for him. Silence on the other end for a beat. Then Lindsay's wounded little voice. Qingxi, are you misunderstanding something? Shirhan and I are really just friends. He only came over because I've been struggling lately. Don't read into it. Just relay the message. I cut her off. My voice completely flat. I don't need your commentary. I hung up, set the phone on the bed, and stared at the ceiling. 5 minutes later, Lu Shirhan called. Qingxi. What did you say to Ziyi? His voice dripped with irritation. She hung up and burst into tears. Do you have any idea how hard it's been to get her stable? Listening to his voice, he suddenly felt like a stranger. This man. He used to work at my father's company. I spotted him, a PM earning 20K a month. I was the one who insisted on marrying him. I convinced my father to bring him into the group's inner circle. I transferred 5% of my shares into his name. 3 years of marriage. He lived in my villa, drove the Maybach I bought, used my connections, spent my money, and now, for another woman. He was interrogating me about why I bullied her. Lu Shirhan, I said, my voice barely above a whisper. I'm in the hospital. He paused. Hospital? What happened? Car accident. On our wedding anniversary. I was hit. Waited 2 hours in the OR. Your phone was off. I said slowly. Comminuted fracture. For steel pins. 2 days in the ICU. A long silence. Then, why didn't you tell me sooner? I laughed. I called 47 times. You were off. The 50th call. You were off. Lu Shirhan. How? Through a seance? I didn't know. Ziyi was in a dark place. I feared she'd harm herself. So I turned my phone off. His voice started to falter. But he kept making excuses. Besides, you're fine now, aren't you? Can you please stop making everything sound so ugly? Ziyi genuinely needs me. Can't you just be the bigger person? The bigger person. I looked down at my bandaged leg and sat with those 4 words. Letting my husband be with another woman while I'm in surgery. Spending our anniversary that way. Signing consent forms alone in the ER. Generous enough to, for 3 years straight, let him put another woman before me. Lu Shirhan, I said, let's get a divorce. The line went silent. He finally spoke. His voice was shaking. Shen Qingxi. Have you lost your mind? Over something this trivial? Trivial? I repeated the word and nodded. Yeah. To you, my life is trivial. Me lying on the operating table waiting for you to sign is trivial. Our marriage is trivial. So what actually matters to you? Lindsay's depression matters. Her calling you in the middle of the night matters. You watching the stars with her in the Maldives matters. I'll have my lawyer draft the divorce papers. I cut him off. The East Side villa is already on the market. Your stuff? Get out in 3 days. Shares settle in court. You wouldn't dare. His voice finally shifted. Now there was anger and panic. Shen Qingxi. Who the hell do you think you are? Without me, you're nothing. I'm Shen Qingxi, I said. The sole heiress of Shen Group. Worth 12 billion. And you, Lu Shirhan? Without me, you're absolutely nothing. I hung up. Then powered off my phone. The room was quiet, only the heart monitor. beeping steadily. I lowered my head and looked at my leg, held together with steel pins. Suddenly I remembered our wedding 3 years ago. My father held Lu Shirhan's hand and said, "She's my only daughter. Treat her well." Lu Shirhan's smile was so sincere, so earnest back then. When he knelt to put on my shoes, his eyes were red. Looking back now, that was probably his greatest act. Dad walked in. He was holding a thermos. Bone broth that Auntie Wang had simmered. He sat down beside the bed, glanced at my leg, then at my face. He didn't ask anything. Just poured the soup and handed it to me. "The house is already listed." Flat voice. "A 500m villa at 300m. Tonight. Someone's coming to see it." I took the bowl and had a sip. "Dad, I'm sorry." I said. "Sorry for what?" "For not listening to you back then." My eyes stung, but I didn't cry. "You said he never truly saw me." "I didn't believe you." "You said he wanted money." "I doubted it too." "I insisted on marrying him. I had to learn the hard way." Dad paused, then patted my head. "Now you know it hurts. Turn back. Your dad's right here. The sky isn't going to fall." My tears finally came. They landed in the milky white bone broth, sending up tiny ripples. The day I was discharged, my dad sent a driver to pick me up. The keys to the villa had already been handed over. My things? Wang Ma had packed them up ahead of time. 6 large suitcases. On the drive from the villa on the east side, back to the Shen family estate on the west side. We passed the house that used to be my marital home. Through the car window, I saw a moving company truck parked out front. Lu Shirhan was standing at the door. A cardboard box in his arms, his face dark as a storm cloud. Lin Zi was beside him. Wearing a white dress, her long hair draped over her shoulders. She was dabbing at non-existent tears with a handkerchief, occasionally rising up on her toes to whisper something to Lu Shirhan. The car passed them. I didn't slow down. I didn't roll down the window either. Lin Zi seemed to spot the car. She looked up, and our eyes met for a brief second. Through the glass, I held her gaze. I smiled. She froze. The car drove off. I turned my gaze back, picked up my phone, and sent a message to the head of Shen Group's legal team. "Are the documents for recovering the shares ready?" "Yes, Miss Shen. Everything is in place." The Shen Group shares under Lu Shirhan's name were a premarital gift. Under an addendum in the gift agreement, if the recipient is found at fault within the marriage, the donor has the right to revoke the gift. We've obtained all evidence of the affair between Lu Shirhan and Lin Zi, including hotel check-in records, transfer receipts, and WeChat chat logs. More than enough to prove fault. I stared at the cityscape rushing past the window and typed 2 words. Sue them. The Shen family's legal team is the best in the country. Not just one of the best. The best. The day Lu Shirhan was served with the court summons, I was in the Maldives. Yes, that W hotel. I booked out the exact overwater villa Lu Shirhan once stayed in. The one where he and Lin Zi were stargazing in those photos. Sunlight poured through the floor-to-ceiling windows. The water was so clear it looked like glass. I was lying on a lounger by the pool, my legs still in a cast. But for once, I felt lighter than I had in years. My phone rang. An unknown number. I picked up. Lu Shirhan's voice came through, practically roaring. "Shen Qingxi, have you lost your damn mind? You're suing me? On what grounds?" "On what grounds?" "The law." I flipped a page, casual. "On adultery. On grounds of siphoning off marital assets. On ghosting me during surgery." "Lu Shirhan, how do you think a judge is going to rule?" "I didn't cheat. Z and I are innocent." "You're slandering me." "Innocent?" I laughed. "Innocent enough to share a room in the Maldives?" "Innocent enough that in your 2 a.m. WeChat messages, you called her baby?" "Innocent enough to wire her 12 million to open a studio?" "Lu Shirhan, do you actually think I'm stupid?" Heavy, ragged breathing came from the other end of the line. That money was an investment. ZE Studio. There's a business plan. And those messages? They were just jokes between friends. Oh, I nodded. The judge will believe you. Explain later. Shenqingxi, do you have to do this? Do you have to burn everything down? His voice finally took on a pleading edge. I messed up. Phone off was wrong. I shouldn't have gone to be with Ziyi. Just give me one chance, okay? Let's talk this through. No. I set the magazine down. My voice was quiet, but every word landed like a hammer. Listen to me carefully. Lying on the table waiting for you. And you had your phone off. From the moment I dialed your number 47 times. And you didn't pick up once. From the moment you spent our wedding anniversary watching the stars with another woman. There is nothing left to talk about. I blocked him. Then, I scrolled through Lin Ziyi's social feed. Her latest post was from yesterday. A 9-photo grid. All of them showed her in a lavishly decorated studio. Smiling sweetly at the camera. The caption read, "A new beginning. Grateful to everyone who supported me. Especially the one who's always been by my side." In the comments, someone asked, "Did Shirhan set this up for you?" She replied with a shy emoji. She didn't deny it. I stared at that post for 3 seconds. Then I screenshotted it. And sent it to the head of the Shin Group legal team. This post too. Log it as evidence. I tossed my phone aside and pulled myself up with my crutches. I hobbled over to the pool's edge. The sun was perfect. The sea breeze was gentle. A speedboat cut through the water. It left a white wake behind. I stared out at that endless sea. And suddenly remembered something. Lu Shirhan once told me his biggest dream was to bring Lin Ziyi here, to stargaze in the Maldives. And he did it. On my dime. In my villa. Driving the car I bought. Escorting someone else's wife. I stayed in the Maldives half a month. Not because I couldn't let go. My lawyer recommended it. He said I should stay abroad a while longer. Only returned once things settled at home. In 2 weeks. Lu Shirhan changed his number 7 times. Just to call me. I didn't pick up once. Lin Ziyi posted over 30 updates. From in my darkest hour? Thank you for being there to true strength. Means never needing anyone again. Every single post came with a carefully edited selfie. Each one finely tuned to pull at heartstrings. In the comments, all their mutual friends were consoling her. Some called me heartless. Some said I was cold-blooded. And one person who claimed to know the real story wrote, "Ziyi did nothing wrong. Shenqingxi is just too overbearing." Honestly, what man could take that? I ignored them all, not from anger. Just not worth arguing with those who don't know the truth. It would waste my time and drain my energy. Not worth it. In those 2 weeks, I did something far more vital. I started taking the reins of Shin Group's investment portfolio again. Shin Group's core business is real estate and hospitality. But my interest has always been in tech and entertainment. In college, I studied finance at LSE. After graduating, I spent 2 years on Wall Street. If I hadn't married Lu Shirhan, I wouldn't have returned so soon. Looking back, those 3 years. What did I even do? Trying to be the perfect wife. I gave up the position of head of investments at Shin Group. I stepped back to be a full-time housewife. Daily, studying recipes. Learning flower arranging, going to high society afternoon teas. Making hangover soup each time he staggered home from dinners. I turned my own life into an accessory to his. And he took it all for granted. Things back home finally moved forward. My legal team lead called. The court has accepted the share revocation case. First hearing is early next month. Also, Lu Shirhan's side has hired a lawyer. He's trying to settle out of court. No settlement, I said. Take it to court. There's one more thing. My lawyer paused. We've tracked down the funding source for Lin Ziyi's studio. We've got the full picture now. Aside from the 12 million Lu Shirhan transferred to her directly, there's another 30 million. And where's that from? It came through a subsidiary under Shin Group. A project fund that Lu Shirhan had the authority to approve. The money was disguised as marketing and promotion expenses. Money went to Lin Ziyi's account. I gripped my phone, my fingers slowly tightening. 30 million. Add that to the 12 million he transferred to Lin Ziyi on his own. Then on top of that, 3 years of business expenses. He's been drawing from Shin Group under every excuse in the book. All told, over the course of this marriage. He siphoned off close to 100 million. And his monthly salary? Barely 20,000. I asked, so we have full transfer records and approval trails? Lu Shirhan's e-signature, the approval workflow. The bank statements. A complete, unbroken paper trail. Good. Add all of this to the lawsuit. Embezzlement. The amount is massive. That's enough to put him away for life. I hung up and stood on the balcony of the overwater villa. Watching the horizon line. The sun was sinking. The sky had been painted a blazing orange-red. Like someone had knocked over an entire palette. I suddenly remembered something Lu Shirhan once said to me. Chingxi, you're great at everything. But you're just too strong. If you could be a little softer, the way Zi is. Gentler, I'd love you more. I believed. I thought I really was too domineering, too independent. So I feigned weakness. Cooked late-night meals for him. Learned to massage him when he came home from business dinners. I turned myself from a woman who fought men for deals on Wall Street into a housewife circling the kitchen stove. And he still didn't love me. Not because I wasn't good enough, but because he had never loved me. Not once. What he wanted was never me. It was the Shin family money. The Shin group status. The stepping stone that could launch him to the top overnight. And Lindsay? She was the thorn in his heart. His unreachable scar. The escapee. Forever haunting him. I breathed deep. Turned, walked back into the room, and opened my laptop. Back to work. The Maldives are beautiful. But to me, this was just a transition. A transition from Mrs. Shin. Back to Shin Chingxi. I skipped the hearing, by choice. I didn't want to see Lu Shirhan's face again. I didn't want to hear his pathetic, hollow excuses. I didn't want to waste one more second of my life on him. My lawyer appeared in court for me. I sat in my office at the top of Shin Group, listening in the whole time via video conference. In that courtroom, Lu Shirhan had lost a lot of weight. He wore a dark suit. His hair was cut short. His jawline was sharper than before. His eyes were sunken. He looked 10 years older. His lawyer tried to argue. Those transfers were routine business. The WeChat chats confirmed it. Were just jokes between friends. He lost contact during my surgery due to a phone glitch. The judge asked him, Lu Shirhan. Your wife waited in the operating room for 2 hours. After that, did you ever check on her? Show concern? He hesitated. I didn't know at the time. You didn't know? The judge looked at the evidence. Your wife called you 47 times that night. You didn't answer a single one. My phone died. But at 2 in the morning, you could still send WeChat messages. Lu Shirhan went silent. Someone in the gallery let out a low laugh. I shut the video off. I stopped watching. The verdict was clear. Court ruled to revoke the share gift I'd given Lu Shirhan. His 5% stake in Shin Group. All of it returned. The embezzlement portion, because the amount involved was massive, got transferred to the authorities for criminal investigation. On asset division, aside from being able to take his personal belongings, and that Maybach, which was bought after the marriage, he left with practically nothing. Oh right, that Maybach. Court ruled it mine, since his money funded it. Came from marital assets acquired after the marriage, and he committed major marital misconduct. The day I sent the driver to bring it back, Lu Shirhan stood at the garage entrance, watching that car get driven away. His face wore an expression I'd never seen before. Not anger. Not resentment. Just a complete, hollow blankness. He seemed to finally realize what he'd lost. Wasn't just a car, a house, some money. What he lost was something he could never get back in this lifetime. The social class, the resources, the connections, and someone who truly loved him. But all of that had nothing to do with me anymore. 3 months after the divorce, I officially became president of Shin Group's investment division. In those 3 months, I did a few things. First, I stripped all the bad assets from Shin Group's books and refocused resources into tech and new energy. Second, I established a cultural industry investment fund. 5 billion in the initial round, focused on film and television, gaming and the metaverse sector. Third, I cleared Lin Ziyi's studio's 30 million yuan bad debt. It's handled. The money's been recovered. Shin Group execs tied to the mess got fired. Lin Ziyi's studio also collapsed when its funding dried up. Oh, right. Lin Ziyi. She's struggled since the studio collapsed. She's drowning in debt. Lu Shirhan can barely save himself, so of course he can't help her. She tried reaching out to those so-called friends, who used to comfort her on social media. Turns out, not one of them was willing to lend her a dime. Her final post was a black and white selfie. The caption read, "People are cold." When I saw it, I was in the conference room on the top floor of Shin Group, in an investment decision meeting. I looked at that post, and suddenly found it laughable. People are cold. Those 3 words, coming from her mouth, are pure irony. When she was using Lu Shirhan, did she ever think she was cold? She knew full well he was married. Yet she kept calling him in the middle of the night to drag him away. Did she ever think she was cold? When she'd post on social media, cryptically flaunting the one who's always by your side, trying to make everyone misunderstand her relationship with Lu Shirhan. Did she ever think she was cold? Now the tables have turned. Now life's tough, she's whining about cold hearts. I hung up and got back to the meeting. Regarding the Xinheng Technologies acquisition, new terms offered. The investment director adjusted his glasses, handed me a doc. I skimmed it, my brow furrowing slightly. Xinheng Technologies is one of the top 3 AI companies in the country. The founder's name is Fu Xiying. 32 years old. MIT PhD, Forbes Asia. 30 under 30 honoree. This company is our most promising target this year. High-tech barriers, great team, solid growth. If we can close this deal, Shin Group's AI footprint will be fully established overnight. But the problem is, Fu Xiying is not an easy man to deal with. Rejected Tencent's buyout and Alibaba's investment. He's turned down almost every investor who's come knocking. Rumor has it his exact words were, "I don't need money. What I need is someone who understands my vision." So what are his new terms? I asked. He wants to meet you, the director said. If Shin Group is serious about investing in Xinheng, then send a decision maker. I raised an eyebrow. Interesting. Set it up, I said. 3 days later, I showed up at Xinheng Technologies headquarters, a standalone office building in the tech park. Very modern exterior with huge glass curtain walls, reflecting cold light in the sun. In the lobby hung a massive display screen. Real-time data, casual youth bustled in and out. The whole place was buzzing with energy. Fu Shiheng's office was on the top floor. The moment the elevator doors opened, I froze for a second. Not because the office was huge or lavishly decorated, but because of the person standing by the floor-to-ceiling window. He was on the phone with his back to me, wearing a dark gray lightweight sweater, sleeves casually rolled up to his forearms, exposing a sharply defined wrist. His voice was low. Couldn't hear him, but tone calm, carrying an inexplicable sense of reassurance. He hung up, turned around. The moment our eyes met, a thought suddenly crossed my mind. This man, I feel like I've seen him somewhere before. Shen Qingxi. He spoke first, the corner of his mouth slightly lifted. Younger than I imagined. I pulled myself together and walked over. On sofa. You're tougher to pin, Mr. Fu, I said. He smiled and sat across from me. He poured me a cup of tea. I'm not hard to pin down, he said. I just don't like wasting time. Perfect. Neither do I. Took out papers, set on table. Xinheng's valuation report. Financial due diligence. It's all here. Shin Group's terms are a 2 billion investment. For a 15% stake. No involvement in daily operations, but with veto power on the board. Fu Xiying didn't look at the documents. He just looked at me. Ms. Shen, may I ask you a question? Go on. Why invest? Profit, I said. That simple? I looked at him. Mr. Fu, I know you've turned down a lot of people. And I know all about your "I don't need money" line. But what I'm trying to say is, Shin Group is not like those investment firms. They want short-term returns. We want long-term mutual success. We don't just bring money. We bring resources, channels, plus market access. Strong tech, no real use. It's worthless. And Shin Group has the most extensive offline commercial network in the country. Hundreds of millions of C-end users, government connections, and industry resources. What you need isn't money. It's a partner who can turn your technology into revenue. I can provide that. Silence. Fu Xing was looking at me. There was something in his eyes I couldn't quite read. After a long pause, he suddenly smiled. Shen Qingxi. He said my name, as casually as if greeting an old friend. You're not quite like the Shen Qingxi I've been told about. What kind of Shen Qingxi have you heard about? A lovesick fool, he said. I froze for a second. Gave up her career for a man. Didn't work for 3 years. Only woke up after she got cheated on. He paused. But you today, don't match. I paused. Then I smiled. People grow up, Mr. Fu. So? He flipped 2 pages. Then he closed it. We'll sign tomorrow. Leaving Xingheng, it was nearly dark. I waited at the gate, night wind blew. Carrying the first chill of early autumn, my phone buzzed. A text from an unknown number. Qingxi. It's Lu Shirhan. I know I have no right to face you. But my mom is sick. I need a lot of money. Can you lend me some? Just think of what we once had. I stared at the message, my thumb hovering over the screen. What we once had. Between him and me. There was never anything worth remembering. All that existed was my own wishful thinking. And his cold, calculated scheme. I didn't reply. I deleted the message immediately. Then I opened my contacts. Found the number for Shin Group's head of security. And dialed. Lu Shirhan has been trying to reach me. I don't want him bothering me. Take care of it. Make sure he never gets my contact info again. Understood, Miss Shen. My car pulled up right on time. I opened the door and got in. Eyes closed, car merged into traffic. The city lights outside the window blended into a flowing sea of light. And suddenly, I remembered what Fu Xing had said today. You're not quite like the Shen Qingxi I've been told about. No, I'm not. The Shen Qingxi who would throw away her career for a man. She's dead. She died on that operating table. She died in those 47 unanswered phone calls. She died on that long, freezing, lonely night with nothing but a heart monitor beside her. The Shen Qingxi of now has been reborn. No longer anyone's accessory. No longer responsible for anyone else's emotions. No longer placing her happiness in someone else's hands. I am Shen Qingxi. The sole heir to the Shin Group. Head of the investment division. Net worth 15 billion. I will take the Shin Group further than it has ever gone before. I'll live a life more brilliant than ever before. And the people who hurt me have no place left in my world. The next day. Signing done as planned. Fu Shiheng wore a sharply tailored black suit. He looked even more composed than yesterday. He took his seat at the signing table, signed. Shook hands. Every move was clean and precise. Not a trace of hesitation. Pleasure doing business. I'm heading back. After the signing, there was a small reception. I stood by the floor-to-ceiling window with a glass of champagne, staring at the city skyline outside. What's on your mind? At some point, Fu Shiheng had walked up beside me. Just thinking about tomorrow's work, I said. He glanced at me, mildly surprised. The deal is signed. To be deal sealed. No celebration? I swirled the champagne in my hand. This is my celebration. After this, back to work. He paused. Then he said, Shen Qingxi, you are the most boring rich person I've ever met. I laughed. Thanks. He just stood there, silent. Watching the night view with me. After a long silence, he suddenly spoke. Shen Qingxi, have you ever asked yourself one question? What question? The state you're in right now. Have you truly let go? Or are you just numbing yourself with work? My hand tightened. Around the wine glass. I had never asked myself that question. I didn't dare. I was afraid the answer was the latter. I don't know, I said, my voice so soft I could barely hear it myself. But at least work never betrays me. Fu Shiheng didn't respond. He just turned and looked at me. His eyes were heavy, like they could see straight through every mask and wall I had up. Shenqing Xi, he said. You don't need to prove your worth through work. You are enough. Just as you are. I looked up and met his eyes. In that moment, I felt a sudden sting in my nose. Not because I was touched, but because it had been so long. So long since anyone had said anything like that to me. Ever since I married Lu Shihan, all I ever heard was you're not good enough, you're too much. Why can't you be more like Ziyi? I turned myself into a machine. Working relentlessly. Making money relentlessly, relentlessly proving to everyone that I didn't need anyone. But Fu Shiheng said. You are enough. Just as you are. Thank you, I said. My voice a little hoarse. He didn't say anything more. He just raised his glass and clinked it lightly against mine. The champagne went down with a faint bitterness. And a subtle, lingering sweetness. That night, I went home, showered, and lay in bed. But I couldn't fall asleep. Fu Shiheng's words kept replaying in my mind. Is the state you're in right now really letting go? Or are you just numbing yourself with work? I tossed and turned, thinking about it all night. The next morning, I poured myself a black coffee and stood on the balcony, watching the sunrise. And I finally figured it out. The answer didn't matter. What mattered was that I was doing fine. I'm in control of my own life. I can do what I want. And be who I want to be. As for whether I've truly let go, time will tell. And I've got all the time in the world. And so the days passed, one by one. Under my lead, Shin Group's investment business was thriving. Within a month of the signing, Xinheng Technology stock was up 30%. Paper gains of 600 million. Dad bragged about me everywhere, beaming with pride. And Lu Shihan? He vanished from my life completely. I heard his case had been handed over to the prosecutor's office. Embezzlement, plus diverting marital assets, multiple charges. Long sentence ahead. Lin Ji vanished too. After her studio went under, she was drowning in debt. All those people who acted like her best friends on social media. Not one of them lifted a finger to help. Her last post ended with people are cold-hearted. Nothing since. Some say she went back to her hometown. Some say she went south. Others say she married some rich old man. I don't care. Really, not even a little. They're like 2 grains of sand I shook out of my shoe. I'm not turning around to see where they landed. What I care about now is Shin Group's next 10 billion target. That afternoon, I was in my office reviewing an investment proposal, when my secretary knocked and came in. Mr. Fu is here. I looked up and saw Fu Shiheng standing in the doorway, holding a paper bag. Aren't you going to invite me in? He asked with a smile. I set down my pen and leaned back. Mr. Fu honors me, how dare I refuse? He walked in and set the bag on my desk. For you. I opened it. A box of macarons. Pink, topped with gold leaf. What's this for? I asked. At the signing reception, I noticed you didn't need a single bite. His tone was casual. A woman who skips meals is going to crash. I stared at the box of macarons, at a loss for words. Fu Xing. We're business partners. I know that. Between partners. No need for macarons. Who says there's no need? He sat down across from me and crossed his legs. Partners need good relationships too. Starts with macarons. I stared at his shameless confidence. I couldn't help but laugh. Fine. I picked up a macaron and took a bite. Gift accepted. Is there anything else? Yes. He pulled a document from his briefcase and handed it to me. Xinheng's next financing plan. I'd like to hear the Shin Group's take. I took the document, opened it, and my brow furrowed slightly. Pre-IPO round. You're going public. He nodded. Second half of next year. Nasdaq. I looked up at him. My mind already running the numbers. If Xinhing went public, with its current tech strength and market share, the valuation would be at least $30 billion. The Shin Group's current 15% stake would then be worth $4.5 billion. And that was just the beginning. The Shin Group would keep investing. I closed the folder. How much do you need? $1 billion. RMB. He smiled. If it were dollars. 1 billion RMB. No problem. Terms need renegotiation after IPO. The Shin Group retains at least 10% equity. Also, I want to keep my veto seat on the board. Fu Xing looked at me with something in his eyes I couldn't quite read. Shen Qingxi. Do you know your eyes light up when you talk terms? I froze. Meaning? Nothing. He stood up. Put the folder away. I'll go back and discuss the terms with my team. You'll have an answer tomorrow. He walked to the door, then stopped. Turned around. By the way, there's a tech summit this weekend. I need a +1. Are you free? I'm not obligated to be your +1. I said. It's not an obligation. He looked at me, the corner of his mouth lifting. It's an invitation. I watched his silhouette and paused. What time? Saturday, 7 p.m. I'll pick you up. He left. I sat in my office, staring at that box of macarons. For a long time. My phone buzzed. A WeChat message. Fu Xing. Forgot to mention. The skirt you're wearing today looks really nice. I looked down at my outfit. Black tailored trousers. White blouse. Standard office wear. What skirt? I was about to reply, are you blind? When a second message arrived. Just kidding. But the way you look when you're focused on work. It's genuinely stunning. I gripped my phone. My finger hovered over the screen. I didn't know how to reply. In the end, I just typed 2 words. Boring. He replied with a smiley face instantly. I put my phone down. Took a breath, returned to the papers. A faint smile tugged at my lips. Just wouldn't go away. Saturday evening. Fu Xing showed up at the Shin family estate right on time. He wore a dark navy suit, no tie. The top button of his shirt was undone. He looked formal and effortless at the same time. You look different tonight. He looked at me. Different how? Usually you're the boss lady. Tonight, you're a movie star. I glanced down at my dress. Black off-shoulder gown, collarbone necklace, red lips. Yeah, definitely not my usual look. Get in the car. I said. Save the smooth talk. The tech summit was being held at a 5-star hotel downtown. Everyone who mattered in tech and investment was there. As the founder of Xinhing Technologies, Fu Xing, naturally the center of attention, stepping out of the car, a crowd swarmed around him. I stood beside him, holding a glass of champagne, smiling through all the small talk. Mr. Fu, and this is? A middle-aged man asked, looking at me. President Shen, of Shin Group. Our strategic investor. Fu Xing introduced me very formally. Oh. I've heard a lot about President Shen. Shin Group's recent moves in the tech sector made rivals jealous. You flatter me, I said, raising my glass, and clinked it against his. After the keynote speech ended, it was time for open networking. I took my glass and stepped out onto the terrace for some air. The night breeze carried autumn's crisp chill. Hiding here alone? Fu Xing had followed me out without me noticing. It's too stuffy in there, I said. He walked over, leaning by me, watching city lights afar. He suddenly spoke. Have you ever wondered, if you hadn't married Lu Shirhan, where you'd be right now? I thought for a moment. Probably, right here, I said. Running Shin Group, doing investments. Making money. Just maybe a few years earlier. Do you regret it? Regret what? Marrying him. I went quiet for a while. I did, I said. On the operating table. In the ICU. Through all those sleepless nights. But I don't anymore. Why not? Because without all that pain, I wouldn't be who I am now. I turned to look at him. You know what? When you hit rock bottom, that's when you see yourself most clearly. I used to think I was strong, independent. Didn't need anyone. But on that table, waiting for a signature, no one came. My independence was dependence. I depended on his presence. On the title of married woman. On people calling me Mrs. Liu. I paused. My voice dropped. After losing all that, I finally learned what independence really means. Fu Xing didn't speak. He just listened quietly, watching me in silence. After a long while, he reached out and gently patted my shoulder. Shen Qingxi. He said, "You're far stronger than you give yourself credit for." I looked up at him. His eyes were bright in the night, like they were filled with starlight. "Thank you," I said. "No need." He pulled his hand back and looked into the distance again. "I'm just stating a fact." We stood on the terrace for a long time. We talked about a lot. The struggles of his startup days. The funny stories from my time on Wall Street. The past neither of us wanted to bring up, but couldn't avoid. He told me he'd been betrayed by the person he trusted most too. In college, I started a company with a friend. 50-50 split. When the valuation hit $1 billion, he teamed up with the investors to push me out. Didn't give me a cent. The transfer was forged by his imposter. I froze. What happened next? I fought it in court for 2 years. And won. Got my equity back. Then sold the company. Started over. He said those days were brutal. After that, nothing scares me. And suddenly felt a deep sense of kinship. We'd both been hurt by the people we trusted most. We'd both fought through the darkness alone. We'd both thought we'd never get back up. But we did. And we're standing taller than before. Steadier. Fu Xing, I said. You're pretty strong too. He smiled. Of course. Otherwise, how would I ever be worthy of you? I froze. He turned and went back inside. Come on. It's cold out here. I stood there, watching his back. And my heart suddenly skipped a beat. After the summit ended, Fu Xing drove me home. The car stopped outside the Shen family estate. He called my name as I unbuckled. Shen Qingxi. Yeah? There's an art exhibition next week. A friend gave me tickets. Are you interested? I looked at him. It struck me that our conversations always seemed to go like this. What exhibition? A Monet original show. The only stop in the country. Sure. He smiled. A really nice smile. Then I'll see you next week. I got out and walked inside. As I was changing my shoes, Auntie Wang poked her head out of the kitchen. Miss. Did you have a nice date today? That wasn't a date, I said. It was a business event. Oh. Auntie Wang smiled knowingly. So the business event ended and Mr. Fu drove you home. Miss. Wang Ma wiped her hands and walked over to me. I've served the Shen family 20 years. I watched you grow. There are some things I'm not sure I should say. Go ahead. That Mr. Fu, the way he looks at you. It's different from how Lu Shirhan used to. My hand paused mid-motion as I changed shoes. Different how? Lu Shirhan looked at you like you were a gold mine. Wang Ma said. Mr. Fu looks at you like you're a person. That night, I lay in bed, tossing and turning, thinking about Wang Ma's words. Lu Shirhan looked at you like you were a gold mine. Mr. Fu looks at you like you're a person. I thought about the way Lu Shirhan used to look at me. When we first met, there was admiration in his eyes, appreciation. But more than that, there was something I didn't understand back then. Looking back now, it was the excitement of a hunter spotting his prey. And the way Fu Xing looks at me? Clear. Open. Unflinching. Like he was looking at someone his equal. Someone whole. Someone worthy of respect. I turned over and buried my face in the pillow. Shen Qingxi. What are you thinking? You've been divorced less than 6 months. You're not ready for a new relationship. You're not even sure if you can ever trust someone again. Stop it. Go to sleep. But the moment I closed my eyes, what came to mind was Fu Xing standing on that terrace, saying, "You're so much stronger than you give yourself credit for." His voice was low, deep, like the resonance of a cello, carrying a strange, calming power. I turned over again. Shenqingxi. Stop overthinking. Really. But my lips still curled up against my will. The Monet exhibition was on a weekend afternoon. The gallery was packed. But Fu Xing had reserved the VIP entrance beforehand. We avoided the crowds and quietly took in every piece. When I stood before water lilies, I stopped. Canvas of vast blues and greens, light and shadow entwined. The water lilies bloomed serenely on the surface, like a tender dream. You like this one? Fu Xing asked. I nodded. Monet was almost blind in his final years. And yet he painted the softest light. Don't you find that incredible? A man in his darkest hour could still see the brightest things. He was quiet for a moment. Then he said, just like you. I turned to him. What? You lived through your darkest hour and came out the other side as the brightest version of yourself. His voice was soft, but utterly serious. Shenqingxi, you're practically a Monet painting. I looked into his eyes, and my heart suddenly skipped a beat. I said, you realize you're saying some dangerous things? He smiled. I'm just stating facts. You always say that. Well, they are facts. Every single time. I took a deep breath, turned back to the paintings, and ignored him. But I could feel his gaze lingering on me. Soft. Quiet. Like the light in a Monet painting. After the exhibit, we had dinner at a restaurant nearby. It was quiet, dimly lit. A bouquet of white lisianthus sat on the table. He set down his fork and knife, and looked at me. There's something I need to tell you. Go ahead. I like you. The fork slipped from my hand and clattered onto the plate. It clanged. Not a business-like. He kept going. His tone as calm as if he were talking about the weather. The kind of like, where I want to be with you. My lips parted. I didn't know what to say. You don't have to answer right away. I know you just got divorced. I know you need time. I know. You might not be ready. I can wait. However long it takes. I lowered my head and stared at the food on my plate. My mind was a complete mess. I said, you know. I just crawled out of a failed marriage. I don't trust myself to handle a new relationship yet. I'm not fully over it. I'm still, I know. He cut me off. That's why I said I can wait. You don't need to give me an answer. Not today. Not next year. Whenever you're ready, just tell me. I looked up and met his eyes. They were completely sincere. No probing. No pressure. Just a steady, patient kind of waiting. Why do you like me? I asked. Because you're Shenqingxi, he said. Because you're smart, independent, strong. Because you've been through so much, and you're still kind. Because you deserve to be treated right. My nose stung. My eyes started to well up. You know, saying stuff like that is totally unfair. Then unfair it is. He smiled. As long as it makes you happy. That night, he walked me home. We stood at the door for a moment. Good night, he said. Good night. I stumbled in, heart pounding. Wang Ma came out of the kitchen and laughed when she saw my face. You're blushing, you said it was business. I covered my face and bolted upstairs. I lay in bed. My phone lit up. A message from him, I'm home. Get some rest. I stared at that message for a long time. After a moment I typed back, you too. Then I flipped my phone face down on the nightstand and rolled over. My face in covers, heart racing. It wasn't panic. It wasn't fear. It was a kind of flutter I hadn't felt in a very long time. The kind that makes you smile against your will. And just like that, the days went by. Shin Group's investment arm kept growing. Xingheng Technologies' IPO plans moved forward steadily. And between Fu Shiheng and me, it felt like tea slowly steeping. No rush. No pressure. He never brought up being together again, but his actions already said everything loud and clear. When I mentioned working late, He'd have late-night snacks delivered to the office. When I said I'd been stressed lately, he'd book a weekend hot spring resort. When I mentioned wanting to travel, he'd cancel everything. Take me to Iceland for auroras. So natural. As natural as breathing. And somewhere along the way, I slowly learned to let my guard down. I learned to accept kindness freely. Until that day. That day, I was in my office reviewing documents. My secretary knocked and came in. Someone's here to see you downstairs. Who? She said her name is Lin Ji. The pen in my hand froze. Lin Ji. I hadn't thought about that name in a long, long time. Send her up. I leaned back. Let's see what this woman is still trying to pull. When Lin Ji walked into my office, I barely recognized her. She'd lost so much weight. Sharp cheekbones, sallow skin, brittle hair. She wore a washed-out, faded dress. The whole picture. She looked at least 10 years older. Not a trace left of the one who got away she used to be. Qingxi. She stood at the door, her voice small and timid. Like a frightened little animal. Sit. I didn't get up. I just gestured to the chair across from me. She walked over. Sat down. Her hands twisted together in her lap. Head down. Couldn't even look at me. What do you want? Qingxi. I know I have no right to face you. Her voice was already cracking. But I had nowhere else to turn. I owe so much money. The debt collectors show up at my door every day. I don't even have a place to live anymore. And? I leaned back, watching her. So, I'm begging you to help me. She looked up. Eyes red and swollen. I know what I did was wrong. I shouldn't have gotten so close to Shirhan. But I truly had no other choice, Qingxi. Do me this favor, for old time's sake? Just lend me money. Please. I promise I'll pay you back. I looked at her. And suddenly laughed. Lin Ziyi. Old time sake? What exactly is there between us? She froze. When you were making moves on my husband? Did old times cross your mind when you called him at midnight? To pull him away from me, did old times cross your mind? When you posted couple flexes all over social media? Letting everyone think he was in love with you. Did old times cross your mind? Her face went even paler. And now that you've hit rock bottom, you suddenly remember me? I stood up, walked over to her, and looked down at her. Lin Ziyi. Do I look like a saint to you? No, that's not what I meant. Then what did you mean? I leaned down and stared into her eyes. You really think I'd help you? Help a woman who ruined my marriage and wasted 3 years? She started crying, tears streaming down her face. Qingxi, I swear I know. I was wrong. Just forgive me this once. Please. No. I straightened up and pressed the intercom on my desk. Security. Come up here. Qingxi. Lin Ziyi shot to her feet. Tears still fresh on her face, but there was something else. Her eyes flicker with panic and hatred. You can't do this to me. If you dare throw me out, I'll go straight to the media. I'll tell them how Qingxi abuses her power. How she jailed her ex-husband and left his mistress destitute. I looked at her, completely unbothered. Go. She froze. Go tell the media. Go leak your story. Go ahead and sue me, I said, slowly and deliberately. Let's see whether anyone believes you, the mistress who wrecked a marriage. Or me, the self-made businesswoman. Let's see who stinks worse, you, the fraudster who drove embezzlement. Or mine, the victim who cut her losses in time. Lin Ziyi's face drained of all color. One more thing. I pulled out my phone, played a recording, and hit play. In the recording was every single word Lin Ziyi had just said. From Qingxi. I know I have no shame coming to see you, to I'll go to the media. And tell them Qingxi abuses her power. Every last word. Lin Ziyi's eyes went wide. Her lips trembling, unable to say a thing. This recording, I said, waving my phone, is going straight to my lawyer. If I see a single false report about me in any media outlet, I will sue you for defamation immediately. Lin Ziyi, you should know by now. The Shen Group's legal team has never lost a case. Security pushed the door open. Mr. Shen, should we handle this? Escort Miss Lin downstairs. And from now on, make sure this person never sets foot in Shen Group headquarters again. Yes, sir. 2 security guards flanked Lin Ziyi on either side. dragging her out. Shen Qingxi. You'll rot in hell. Lin Zi struggled. You'll get what's coming. I gazed out the window, smiling at the city skyline. Karma? Lin Zi, look at yourself right now. Isn't this exactly what you deserve? The office fell quiet again. I sat back down and went back to my documents. As if nothing had happened. My phone buzzed. A message from Fu Xing. Dinner tonight? A new French place just opened. Great reviews. I thought for a second, then typed back one word, sure. I set the phone down, smiling. Lin Zi's appearance was like a dead leaf landing on a lake, causing the faintest ripple. But soon, the surface returned to calm. She no longer deserved even a single second of my attention. That evening, Fu Xing came to pick me up. He wore a dark jacket. His hair slightly tousled by the wind, but he still looked. You're cheerful today, he said. I'm fine, just saw a pest. Swatted it away. A fly? He started the car, glancing over at me. What fly? Doesn't matter, I said. Where's this French place? He smiled and didn't push further. The car merged into traffic, city lights streaming past the windows. Shen Qingxi, he said suddenly. Do you remember the first time we met? You said something to me. What did I say? You said, work will never betray you. I fell silent for a moment. I recall. Still believe? I turned. His profile flickered in the streetlight, now bright, now dark. His jaw was taut, his eyes focused on the road ahead. Now. I hesitated. I don't know. Because someone made me feel. I paused. Maybe not everything will betray me. He smiled silently. The car stopped in front of a quiet restaurant. He killed the engine. Turned to look at me. Shen Qingxi. He said, I will never betray you. His voice was low, deep, carrying a certainty that left no room for doubt. I know. I said, so when are you going to be ready to tell me? Looking into his clear eyes, my heart skipped another half beat. Soon, I said. He smiled. It was a beautiful smile. I'll wait. We entered the dim, warm restaurant. The music soft. On the table sat a bouquet of red roses. After we sat down, the waiter brought over the menus. We each ordered. While waiting for our food, Fu Shiheng suddenly pulled something from his pocket. A small box. He set it on the table and slid it toward me. What's this? Open it. I opened the box. It was a bracelet. A silver chain with a star charm. Set in the center of the star was a tiny sapphire. Happy birthday, he said. I froze. How did you know? Today is my birthday? Guess. I thought for a moment. Then I remembered the gallery. When I filled out the membership form, he was standing right there. You peeked at my form. I'd call it openly admiring, he said, completely unapologetic. Laughed, studied the bracelet closely. A star. Sapphire. Simple. Refined. Understated. But so thoughtful. Thank you, I said, my voice a little hoarse. Aren't you going to try it on? I nodded. And slipped the bracelet onto my wrist. The silver chain. Against my fair skin. The star charm glimmered faintly under the light. Stunning. It suits you, Fu Shiheng said. Just like you. Even in the dark, you still shine. I lowered my head, gazing at the star on my wrist, my eyes stinging with heat. Fu Shiheng. Why are you so good to me? Because you deserve it. He said it so plainly, like it was the most obvious fact in the world. Shen Qingxi, you deserve everything good this world has to offer. That night, back home, I lay in bed, staring at the star on my wrist, tossing and turning, unable to sleep. My phone lit up. Fu Shiheng, home? Get some rest. I typed back one word, okay. After sending it, I typed a few more words, deleted them, typed again, deleted again. Over and over. Finally, I took a deep breath and hit send. Fu Shiheng, I'm ready. After sending it, Slapped phone down, heart racing. It felt like it would burst out of my chest. A few seconds later, my phone buzzed. I picked it up and read his reply. 8 a.m. tomorrow. I'll pick you up. Where? Secret. I stared at that word. I couldn't help but smile. This Fuscherhang. Always the same. Never rushed. Never flustered. But every step he took was rock solid. The next morning, I was up by 7:30. I spent half an hour picking out an outfit. Finally, I settled on a white dress and light makeup. Put on bracelet, stared in mirror. Miss looks beautiful today. Wang Ma came in with breakfast. Smiling. A date? I didn't deny it. Something like that. Wang Ma smiled brighter, took my hand. Miss, let me tell you, Mr. Fu, he's a keeper. You being with him puts my mind at ease. I just smiled. Didn't respond. At 8 sharp, the doorbell rang. I opened the door. Fu Xing was standing there. He was dressed sharp today, dark gray suit, white shirt. A tie. Like he was heading somewhere important. Let's go. He reached out his hand. I placed mine in his palm. His hand was warm. Holding it felt warm. He took me to City Hall. I stood at the entrance, frozen. Fu Xing. What do you mean? Marry me, he said. As calm as saying nice weather. You insane? We just got together. Shen Qingxi. He cut me off, turned around, and placed both hands on my shoulders. Looked into my eyes. I like you. I've liked you since the first time I saw you. Not because I wasn't in a hurry. I just didn't want to pressure you. But now, you say you're ready. No reason to wait. He reached into pocket. Pulled out a small box. Opened it. Inside was a ring. A diamond ring. Not huge, but the cut was exquisite. Glittering in sunlight. Not impulsive. He said, this is a decision I made after thinking it through. Marry me. I looked at him. Tears fell without any warning. Fu Xing, do you have any idea how unfair you're being? How so? You haven't even dated me. Now proposing? How can I say yes? He smiled. Wiped my tears. Dating can wait. But you? I'm locking that down first. If I wait, someone else might take you. Who would do that? Plenty of people, he said, completely serious. You're amazing. Plenty would chase you. He made me laugh. Laughed through the tears that kept falling. Fu Xing, I said. Are you sure this isn't just an impulse? Are you sure you really want to marry me? Are you sure? You can accept my past? Are you sure? He lowered his head. And kissed me. Soft. Gentle. Like a feather brushing my lips. Then he looked up, spoke each word slowly. Shen Qingxi, I'm sure. 100% sure. I looked into his clear, steadfast eyes. The last wall around my heart crumbled completely. Okay. I'll marry you. He smiled. Like a kid who just got his favorite toy. He took my hand and led me inside. Forms, photos, stamps. Under half an hour. Leaving the bureau. The sun was perfect, and the sky was so blue. I stared at the red book, dazed. Fu Xing, I said. Aren't we moving too fast? Is it too fast? He pulled out his phone and showed me a photo. It was from the day we first met. In the photo, standing in the lobby behind me? You secretly filmed? Not secretly. I was documenting. He put his phone away and took my hand. From that day on, I made up my mind. This back view, I want to walk with it forever. My eyes welling up again. Fu Xing. You're smooth. Not smooth, honest. Truth. We stood outside the Civil Bureau. Sunlight pouring down and stretching our shadows long. Come on. Wife. He led me down the steps. Home. Which home? Our home. I have a place on the west side. It's fully renovated. I've been waiting for you. I froze for a second. When did you get this ready? 6 months ago. When I decided to pursue you. I stopped walking and looked at him. The sunlight fell on him, gilding him with a golden halo. This man had been planning our future since 6 months ago. And I had no idea. Fu Xing, I said. Did you already know I'd say yes? No. I'd gamble you'd fall for me. I looked at his serious expression and suddenly laughed. You win. He smiled too, bent down, and pressed a kiss to my forehead. It's not that I won. It's that my wish came true. The car headed toward the west side, toward our new home. I leaned back in the passenger seat, watching the streetscape blur past the window. The star on my wrist glinted in the sunlight. My phone buzzed. A text from an unknown number. I opened it. It was Lu Shirhan. Qingxi, I heard you remarried. Congratulations. I got what I deserved. I don't deserve your forgiveness. I just hope that from now on. Wishing you well. I stared briefly. Then deleted it. No reply. No block. Just deleted. Like deleting a memory I no longer needed. Then, I opened my social feed. And posted one update. A photo of 2 marriage certificates. Lying side by side. The caption was just one word, rebirth. After posting, I turned off my phone. And looked at Fu Xing. He was driving. A faint smile on his lips. Sunlight fell across his profile, softening his features impossibly. Fu Xing. I called. From now on, I'll be in your care. He glanced at me, his eyes full of tenderness. From now on, I'll be in your care, Shen Qingxi. The car crossed the river bridge, sunlight shimmering on the water. Golden flecks. I leaned back, closed my eyes, and a happy smile curved at the corner of my lips. From now on, I'll never be anyone's accessory again. No longer anyone's fallback. No longer anyone's compromise. I am Shen Qingxi, CEO of Shen Group. An investor with a net worth of 20 billion. A woman's everything, and a man's greatest love. The car keeps moving, toward our new home, toward a new life. Toward a future I never imagined, but desperately wanted. My phone buzzes. A message from Fu Xing. He's sitting right next to me, and he's still texting? Wifey. What do you want for dinner? I stare at the message. And can't help but smile. Whatever you make, I'll eat. Then I'll make your favorite red wine beef stew. When did you learn that? For you. I learned it just for you. I look up at him. He's focused on the road ahead, but the tips of his ears are turning red. This man who keeps insisting he's not chasing you, but secretly knows my taste preferences, down to the last detail. This man who waited 6 months for me, and never once pressured me. This man who showed up at my absolute worst, and told me I was already more than enough. Fu Xing. I say. Yeah? I like you too. His hands tighten slightly on the wheel. I know. His voice is hoarse, my first time hearing it. I'll be saying it a lot from now on. He laughs. Laughs until his eyes go red at the rims. Shen Qingxi. Do you have any idea how long I've waited to hear that? How long? 187 days. I freeze for a second. You actually kept count? Every single day, he says. Because every single day, I was waiting. I look at his profile. A wave of warmth rises in my chest. Scalding. Overwhelming. Almost enough to drown me. This fool. This stubborn, foolish man. Fu Xing. I say. Yeah? Thank you. For what? For being willing to wait for me. He reaches over and takes my hand, fingers interlaced. Shen Qingxi. Waiting for you is my choice. Loving you is my decision. You don't need to thank me. You just need to be happy. The car pulls into an upscale community on the west side and stops in front of a villa. Fu Xing gets out, walks around to the passenger side, and opens the door for me. We're here. I step out and take in the villa before me. White exterior walls. Floor-to-ceiling windows, sweet olive tree. There's a swing under the tree. This is our home. I asked, really? Took my hand, led inside. Like it? The living room is huge, but it feels so warm. The whole palette is warm white and natural wood. The sofa is exactly the fabric style I love. On the coffee table, there's a bouquet of white lisianthus. A painting hangs on the wall. Monet's water lilies. A reproduction, but the frame is exquisite. You can tell so much thought went into it. When did you prepare all this? I asked, my voice trembling. 6 months ago. Every single thing, I picked out myself. I turned around and looked at him. Fu Shiheng, aren't you afraid I'd say no? No. He said, because if you said no, I'd just keep waiting. Until you said yes. My tears finally broke. They poured down my face. He reached out and pulled me into his arms. His chin resting on top of my head, his voice low and tender. Don't cry. Your makeup's gonna run. I don't care. Then cry. Done? I'll cook. I hugged him. And cried for a long time. All the hurt from these 6 months. All the uncertainty, all the fear about the future. I cried it all out. He didn't say a word. He just held me, gently patting my back. When I finally stopped, he let go. Pulled a tissue from his pocket and wiped my face. There, he said. Mrs. Shen. Welcome home. Mrs. Shen. Those 3 words. When Lu Shihan said them, they were just a title. But when Fu Shiheng says them, they're a promise. I stood on my tiptoes and pressed a kiss to the corner of his lips. Thank you, Mr. Fu. He smiled, lowered his head, and kissed me. Sunlight streamed through windows. Onto us, onto that Monet water lilies on the wall. Warm, bright, exactly what love is supposed to look like.